Breaking. 4 European NATO allies pledge $1 billion in U.S. weapons to Ukraine. Latest defense support. In a significant move that underscores growing international support, 4 European nations have committed to purchasing a collective $1 billion in U.S. weaponry destined for Ukraine. This development highlights the escalating tensions in the region and the increasing role of global allies in the conflict. The agreement, announced recently, involves the Netherlands, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, all of which have pledged substantial financial contributions to bolster Ukraine's defensive capabilities. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky took to social media to express his gratitude, emphasizing the importance of this collaboration. We already have commitments from the Netherlands, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, over $1 billion for American weapons that Ukraine will receive. Thank you. This cooperation with NATO countries will continue, he wrote on X. Zelensky also noted a productive dialogue with U.S. President Donald Trump, stating, "We coordinated our positions." The Russians have intensified the brutality of their attacks. President Trump is fully informed about Russian strikes on Kyiv and other cities and communities. This announcement comes as a marked improvement in U.S.-Ukraine relations, which had been strained earlier this year when the two leaders engaged in a public dispute at the White House. But here's where it gets controversial. Trump's stance has shifted dramatically, particularly in light of his increasingly critical views of Russian President Vladimir Putin, whose forces have ramped up their offensive against Ukraine. Among the contributions, the Netherlands has pledged to supply American missiles and components for the U.S. Patriot air defense systems currently deployed in Ukraine. These systems are crucial for intercepting Russian missiles. And the Ukrainians have repeatedly stressed the urgent need for more ammunition to defend against the relentless attacks. Dutch Defense Minister Ruben Brekelmans emphasized the significance of this support, stating, "This will help Ukraine defend itself and the rest of Europe from Russian aggression." The Dutch contribution alone is valued at over $500 million. Sweden, Norway, and Denmark have collectively agreed to provide a package of U.S. weapons worth nearly $500 million. While the specific types of arms have not been detailed, the commitment underscores the growing solidarity among European nations in the face of Russian aggression. It's worth noting that the U.S. has been the largest contributor to Ukraine's military aid, providing approximately $75 billion since Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022. However, the future of U.S. assistance remains uncertain, and the question of whether increased European support can fill the gap left by potential reductions in American aid remains a topic of intense debate. And this is the part most people miss. While many European countries are stepping up their efforts, the scale and sustainability of their contributions will be crucial in determining the outcome of the conflict. What do you think? Can European nations provide enough support to make a significant difference in Ukraine's defense, or will the U.S. remain indispensable in this ongoing struggle? Share your thoughts in the comments. Sweden, Norway, Denmark contribute $500 million to NATO for U.S. weapons to Ukraine. Imagine the geopolitical chessboard shifting dramatically as Sweden, Norway, and Denmark collectively pledge a staggering $500 million to a NATO-led endeavor. This initiative aims to arm Ukraine with U.S. weapons, including the formidable Patriot missiles to bolster its defenses against Russia. But here's where it gets controversial. The funding mechanism itself is as intriguing as the weapons being supplied. U.S. President Donald Trump announced last month that the United States would provide these weapons, with the financial burden falling on European allies. However, the specifics of how this would be executed remain shrouded in mystery until now. The Nordic countries have stepped up to the plate, but the question remains, will this financial support be enough to tip the scales in Ukraine's favor? And this is the part most people miss. The strategic implications of this move go far beyond the immediate conflict. It sets a precedent for future NATO operations and could reshape the dynamics of European security. Ukrainian service members, already on the front lines, are now poised to receive the advanced equipment they need to defend their homeland. But will this influx of weapons and funding be enough to deter Russian aggression? Or will it escalate tensions further? The stakes are high, and the world watches with bated breath. Norwegian Defense Minister Tore O. Sandvik emphasized the urgency and importance of this initiative, stating, "We want to ensure that Ukraine quickly receives the equipment it needs, while strengthening NATO cooperation on Ukraine's defense and securing peace on Ukrainian terms." Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky echoed this sentiment, highlighting the long-term security implications for Europe. This will be felt, and it will serve as a strong example for other NATO countries to strengthen the security ties between America and Europe, and to ensure protection from Russian strikes, he wrote on X. Russia will never turn Europe into a continent of war, and it is precisely through our joint efforts that we are ensuring peace will prevail, he added. Danish Defense Minister Troels Lund Poulsen assured that the funds would be available immediately. With Denmark open to considering additional funding in the future, speed is absolutely critical, he stated. Denmark's contribution amounts to around $90 million, while Norway is pledging approximately 1.5 billion Norwegian crowns, equivalent to $146 million. Sweden, meanwhile, is contributing $275 million, which includes Patriot missiles, other air defense equipment, and anti-tank munitions. Swedish Deputy Prime Minister Ebba Busch underscored the significance of this support, noting that continued supply of this kind of American defense material, which Europe can't deliver in sufficient quantity, is decisive for Ukraine's defense capability. NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte expressed gratitude to the 3 Nordic countries for their swift action in funding the package. The NATO prioritized Ukraine requirements list, Pearl Initiative, funded by European members of the alliance and Canada, will be divided into packages worth about $500 million each. The Netherlands was the first country to announce its participation, contributing €500 million. This financial commitment is a testament to the unity and resolve of NATO members in supporting Ukraine. But the question remains, will this be enough to turn the tide of the conflict? And what does this mean for the future of European security? The geopolitical landscape is shifting, and the world is watching. What are your thoughts on this development? Do you believe this financial support will be enough to bolster Ukraine's defenses, or will it merely escalate tensions further? Share your opinions in the comments below.